1 week ago, before we kicked off the Traverse City Prospects Showcase between teams like the Columbus Blue Jackets, the Detroit Red Wings, there were a few others thrown in there. Before this tournament began, I was kind of thinking to myself that we had no chance of making this particular video. But alas, here we are. Today we're talking about the Red Wings' top goaltender prospect and what happened in the Traverse City Prospect Tournament that shined a little bit of concern on his overall profile. Let's talk today about Sebastian Cossa and the problems he exhibited in this showcase. Now, I just wanted to go out there at the beginning of this video and say that if you've been following this YouTube channel ever since the 2021 draft season when Cossa was taken 15th overall by the Red Wings, you know I love this guy. He's a good prospect. He's a player who exhibited very well in the WHL. It's why he was drafted so high as the first goalie taken off the board before Jesper Wallstedt, which at the time was a pretty shocking outcome to see, but I guess you could say it's still quite surprising. Even though Cossa was taken higher, I still saw value in this guy. We made the Why I Want video, we talked about him getting drafted by Detroit, and we have been making update videos over the years as he has progressed throughout the WHL, the ECHL, and now in the Traverse City Prospect Tournament. These videos have highlighted the ups and downs, but none have really articulated the downs as much as this video is going to do. I still believe in Cossa. I still believe he has potential to be the #1 goaltender in Detroit for years to come. And there's a lot of good qualities to his game that can be expanded upon and grown over the next few years. It's just in the one small sample we had in this tournament, you didn't see the best out of Cossa, and that's kind of why we're making this video in the way that we're making it. Cossa, for all of y'all who just need the update, is 20 years old, 6'6", 209, left-handed catching goalie. He's already signed to his ELC, and last year he had played mostly with the ECHL's Toledo Walleye. The plan was for him to get playing time, and in a Grand Rapids Griffin system that boasted the likes of many other names, you had a total of 8 goaltenders suiting up in games played for the Griffins in 22-23, which makes it a lot more difficult for a guy like Cossa to break onto the scene. Nevertheless, though, in the small AHL sample he had a 7.83 save percentage and a 5.57 goals against. Very bad numbers. However, in the ECHL, Cossa was pretty alright. 46 games played with the Walleye, 256 goals against average, and a 9.13 save percentage with a positive record to boot. Sure, you would probably prefer a 20-year-old goaltender who was a first-round draftee to not be playing in the ECHL, but circumstantially, this is just kind of how everything aligned. With Cossa still being a prospect, though, he suited up for the team in the Traverse City Tournament, and he had a tweet from Big Head Hockey posted a few days ago just highlighting how everything was going. Here's what Cossa was at so far in the Traverse City Prospect Tournament after 3 games played. 84-53 time on ice, an 0-3 record, 41 out of 54 saves, so he had let in 13 goals against. He had a 7.59 save percentage and a 9.19 goals against average. Now, you might be thinking about this saying, wait a minute, the guy played 3 games, he has 13 goals against, why is his GAA so high? Well, it's because he didn't play those full games. You see, in these tournaments, they rotate goalies quite frequently. You'll see a guy play 2 periods and then sit the next one out, and then you'll see another guy play a first period and then sit the rest of the game out. Because it's expanded over the course of a full 60-game campaign, Cossa's GAA is not reflective of a good number at all. 9.19 goals against average is the average if he had played a full 60 minutes in all 3 of the games he had suited up for. The question is then posed here. Jesper Wallstedt was on the board when Cossa was picked. How are Detroit fans feeling about Cossa so far? And you can see a lot of people in the replies saying, wait a minute, no, that's not great, like, the numbers are bad. Then some other people saying, yeah, it's a rookie tournament. What are you going to do? It's not indicative as to an NHL player's career based off of how they do at the Traverse City Tournament or the Penticton Young Stars Tournament. It's not really a big deal, right? Connor Bedard had a hat-trick in the first game he played against St. Louis. Adam Fantilli had 5 points and a hat-trick. It's not like these guys are going to do that every night in the NHL, so why should we judge the goaltenders the same way? But at the same time, we do have some reports going over why things went the way they did. Here is a post made on the Red Wings subreddit by KitchenYak676. The Prospects tournament is over. The Wings didn't win a game. Who stood out, positive and negative? I was happy to see Cross Hannes and Amadeus Lombardi both show well. Should we be worried about Cossa? The first comment from Mr. Hoot said that Cossa gave the impression that he's trying to rely on his physical gifts and still not thinking about the game at a high level. He'll need to overcome that if he wants a shot at the big league play. He's young and there's a lot of time to do that. We'll see. Another reply here says that Max Bultman, on his recent piece on The Athletic, had some snippets of an interview with Watson about Cossa. Now, Watson is Dan Watson, the coach of the Grand Rapids Griffins. He pointed to a possible lack of focus that might have led to some of the goals against, and pointed to that mental game as a key part for Cossa going forward. That's the next step in his development right now. I think we saw it firsthand, Watson said. Obviously, a lot of resources are here with the Wings. There will be a plan in place. But just to help him through some of these tough spots, how to kind of refocus or turn the page after some of these goals, but learn from them too. This isn't just wipe the slate clean, you have to learn about those last two appearances. Good to know that there seems to be a plan, but it sounds like you're right on the money about the mental aspect. And it's talked about here in the comment section as well, but goaltender's mentality. This is part of what makes the sport, not the sport, the position so damning for players to be able to do consistently well at. Because for a defenseman, for a forward, for a center, you can just do whatever. Sometimes you don't even need to be thinking too much, you know? Like, obviously, playing hockey requires brains, but sometimes you can just go on autopilot and get away with a game where you have 0 goals, 0 points, maybe a shot on goal, and maybe 10 minutes of ice time. You can go for a skate, and it won't be the worst thing in the world. Goalies need to be dialed in all the time. It's rare to see a goalie go autopilot and just take over games, and if a goalie is phased a little bit from past events, it'll definitely affect the way they proceed with future interactions with the puck as the game goes on. Goaltending is a mental game, more so than any of the other positions in hockey. So for a goaltender to be called out in this way, where it's like, yeah, his mentality is not necessarily there. Possible lack of focus and not learning from mistakes. These are the types of things that will lead to problems down the line if Cossa is not able to overcome those hurdles. Now, of course, he's a good goalie. He's physically gifted. He's big. He's got range. His athleticism is unmatched. It's why he was taken so highly. But it's also part of the reason why you could debate there's even a mental block in the first place, because Cossa has relied so much on his physical tools to help him get results that the awareness, the understanding of the mental dynamism a goalie needs to succeed, you could debate that hasn't been developed as strongly as his physical tools have over the years. So with the water under the bridge, with this Traverse City tournament said and done, is this the wake-up call that Sebastian Cossa needs to signal a change in direction with his development? How it's not more so about the physical tools and making the saves, but more so how you think about making the saves, how focused you are, how you read the game in front of you, and how you predict things to happen. Goaltenders, I think most people who watch hockey are able to acknowledge this, or anybody who's played goalie, even in like rec leagues or just on the street. Goalies are able to make saves not because their reflexes are great, but because their anticipation is great. When you see a shooter coming down the wing, you look at the blade of his stick, you look at the position of where the puck is, and you look at his body language. When you see his hips open up, when you see his wrist get into that position, you know he's going to shoot, and based off of the blade of his stick, you could usually tell which side he's going to go, thus preparing you for the shot before it's even taken. Anticipation is such a strong part of goaltending, and if you're lacking the focus to be able to read that, it could reflect poorly in your results. Now, obviously, I'm not going to say that Sebastian Cossa was doing that 100%, but still, these numbers are terrible. .759 save percentage, 13 goals against in 84 minutes of time on ice. Like, that is not good. So when it comes to Cossa and the way he's progressed so far, there have been many problems over the years, especially with his AHL deployment, considering that wasn't really too generous when he was there. But in the ECHL or in the AHL this upcoming season, we better be seeing some proper mental development out of Cossa if we're going to be still believing in him to be the #1 Red Wings goalie long term. I think he's capable of doing that. It just takes a different type of training. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Red Wings? How do you feel about the Traverse City tournament? How do you feel about Sebastian Cossa going out there and putting up the numbers that he did? Does this worry you? Does this not? What do you think there could be improvements on? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.